Lauren Smith Fields was found dead. Her family had to beg. Let me see what this is about. Lauren Smith Fields was found dead. Her family had to beg for answers. She died in her Connecticut apartment. Oh, this is the one. Okay. Aha. Yeah, I did cover this briefly. This is one also my daughter mentioned. I covered this last night. That just the headline portion of the broadcast. But she's the one that was killed after the Bumble Date, right? And she was the one that, well, she wasn't killed. She was, let me see. It's looking like an overdose, right? So let me make sure I have the right. Let me see here. That she went out with the guy and then the guy called and... Let me see here. Chantel Fields had not heard from her daughter all day. Are you okay? Please let me know, she texted. Her texts and phone calls went unanswered, so on the evening of December 13th, she and her son went to their daughter's apartment and found a note on the door. If you're looking for Lauren, call this number, the note read. Soon the landlord came downstairs. I started panicking. Mrs. Fields said, choking back tears, all I could do was stand there like I was frozen. I could not believe what he was telling me, that my baby was gone. Oh yeah, is this also about the Bridgeport Police Department, right? Not informing her, and she found out from the landlord that Miss Smith Fields had been on a Bumble date with an older man before she died. Weeks passed after her death. Her family said with few updates. On Sunday, that would have been her 24th birthday, they were joined by friends, community members, and activists as they marched to the Bridgeport mayor's office, demanding that something be done. They had a cake, sang happy birthday, and released pink and red balloons into the sky. Okay, yeah, I know that 2 officers, that they were suspended, right? The Connecticut Office of the Chief Medical Examiner on Monday released the cause of Ms. Smith Fields' death, an overdose of fentanyl combined with prescription medication and alcohol. The officer ruled her death an accident. A day later, in response to the medical examiner's findings, the Bridgeport Police Department opened a criminal investigation into her death. More than 1,350 people died from drug overdoses in Connecticut in 2021. Fentanyl was the most common drug involved in those deaths. The Bridgeport Police Department continues to treat the untimely death of Lauren Smith Fields as an active investigation, said Rebecca Garcia, the chief of police. Darnell Crossland, the family's lawyer, believes the criminal investigation should have been opened as soon as Ms. Smith Fields was found dead. We thought from the beginning there was foul play. The attorney stated, he added that when you launch an investigation, that investigation must start with and include the last living person that reported the death of another person. Slow response from law enforcement and delayed news coverage of the death of Miss Smith Fields, who is black, has renewed conversation around missing white woman syndrome, a phrase coined by the PBS anchor Gwen Ifill nearly 2 decades ago, that describes the attention paid to white women who disappear to be in harm's way, while black women in similar situations are often ignored. After the Gabby Petito case, I felt, just from my perspective, that we were starting to see more equitable coverage, said Danielle Slockoff, an assistant professor of criminal justice at Sacramento State University. Ms. Petito was a 22-year-old white woman who went missing last September and was later found to have been strangled to death. Her case had the media transfixed. But then Lauren's case happened, and I saw that really it was the family and social media that were keeping the case going. They were keeping the interest going, and it was disappointing. The family deserves the space to grieve, and instead they are, in this story, trying to get justice for her. The bulk of information the family has received about the death of Miss Smith Fields comes from an incident report by the Bridgeport Police Department. According to those records, her date, who was 37 and white, told investigators that he first connected with her on Bumble, a popular dating app. She invited him over to her apartment after 3 days of chatting. On the evening of December 11th, they ate food, drank tequila with mixers, played games, and watched a movie. At one point, he told investigators that they continued to watch the movie, and then she fell asleep on the couch. He carried her to the bedroom. He fell asleep beside her, adding that when he woke up at 3 a.m. to use the bathroom, she was asleep and snoring. But when he woke up again at 6:30, she was lying on her side, blood coming out of her right nostril onto the bed. She was not breathing. He called 911. He was trembling and visibly shaken, the responding officer, Carla Ramele, said in the report. She said she found Miss Fields lying on her back on the bedroom floor. She wasn't breathing. She had dried blood in and around her right nostril. Hold on. Let me put this up here so we're not... According to the police report, which also noted that there was $1,345 in cash found in the apartment. When Miss Fields arrived at her daughter's apartment on December 13th, the landlord put the family in touch with Detective Cronin. My son talked to him and he was asking what happened. Cronin said that she met a white guy on Bumble, but don't worry about it. He's a really nice guy. Family waited for the detective to arrive, but after calling repeatedly, they went inside the apartment to pack up their daughter and sister's belongings. What they found in there was a used condom, a pill, and bloody bed sheets. I looked and I just broke down, said the mother. The family asked the police department to collect the evidence and begin an investigation, starting with the man that her daughter was on a date with. Bumble works alongside the authorities in investigations, but it does not initiate them, said a spokesperson for the company, and law enforcement has not requested user data in the case as of Thursday afternoon. As the circumstances around Lauren's untimely death are still under investigation, our team has offered our full support to Lauren's family as well as the Bridgeport police, said their chief executive, Whitney Wolf Hurd, in an Instagram post. Now, a city council member who represents Miss Smithfield's district wondered how the police department would treat a wealthy white mother and father who had lost their 23-year-old daughter, particularly if the last person she had been with was this 37-year-old black man she had met on a dating app. I believe wholeheartedly this would have never happened if it was an affluent white family's daughter, said Miss Perrier. So the hashtag Lauren Smith Fields has been viewed more than 27 million times on TikTok and videos about the case. Amateur sleuths have tried using the police report to piece together what happened and have encouraged viewers to call both the Bridgeport mayor's office and the police department. They lambasted national social media outlets for not covering her death sooner. Her friends have used the platform to post videos of Miss Smithfield showing her smiling, dancing around, and joking. Sometimes, when things get reported, you forget that a person had a whole life beyond what happened to them. The rapper Cardi B tweeted about Miss Smithfield's too, writing, "Connecticut, you have failed that young lady." Now, her family hopes that the investigation will provide clarity about what happened to her, and in the meantime, they're replaying their memories. Miss Field recalled the mommy-daughter days when they would get their nails done, with Miss Smithfield opting for acrylic nails with intricate designs. "The nail salon we go to, everybody loves her," her mother said, admitting that her daughter was very bubbly and a hugger. She loved traveling, working out regularly at a nearby LA Fitness, and ordering matcha tea. She had notes around her mirror, her mother said, spelling out what she wanted to do with her life: finish college, become a physical therapist. Okay, so yeah. Interesting. Yeah, well, we'll keep on top of that. I did report on that yesterday, but yeah, things, we'll see what's going on there. Now, hi, crime scene cleaner. Sugar baby. Are you saying that man was her sugar daddy, but she just met him, didn't she? Only 3 or 4 days prior. The news is leaving out that her brother dropped. The news is leaving out her brother dropped her off something. Where are you getting this information? This case is huge on other channels. They don't have the skills to break the case down. Thank you, Fans Guy, for the super chat. We need a deep dive. All right, well, if you want to send me any information that you might have that would help with that, my email is, I'll put it right here on the bottom, Fans Guy. Are you personally connected to the family, or you just have an interest? I wonder. There's a lot of interest. Her brother's sis dropped her off something. Her brother's sis. Oh, you're just looking at the police report? Okay, let me see. Let me hold on a minute. Okay, let me see here. Okay, here's the police report. Let me pull this up over there. All right, so upon arrival, a knock on the door was answered by a frantic man, later identified as, it's redacted. He directed me to the rear of the apartment to a bedroom. There I observed a young, adult, black female laying on her back on the floor. She had dried blood in and around the right nostril. She did not appear to be breathing. He told me that the person on the phone, the EOS call taker, instructed him to do chest compressions. He picked up his phone and asked if he should keep doing them. He was trembling and visibly shaken. The call taker later told him to hang up and speak with me. I told him the medics were on the way and the sirens could be heard in the distance. I asked what her name was, and he replied Lauren. And when asked for her last name, he said he wasn't sure, but her Instagram page says it is Smith. He stated that he had only known her for 3 days, came here for the first time last night. They met on a dating site, Bumble. Fire and medics arrived on scene and began life-saving efforts for Lauren. When asked, redacted man stated that after meeting on Bumble, he found out that they had a mutual friend via Instagram and they began to chat there. She invited him over for a date, asking him to give her $40 to get her nails done and to bring a bottle of tequila. He said he arrived at her home at approximately 21:30 hours, tried to contact her via Instagram, called twice, but she did not answer. He said that he does not have any direct contact information for her, cell phone number, etc., and only contacts her via Instagram. Thinking he was stood up, he left, but Lauren called him to come back a short time later, saying that she didn't answer her call because she was putting on her makeup. He went on to say that they began drinking shots of tequila and Lauren became ill. She went to the bathroom to vomit and was apologetic when she returned. They then decided to drink the tequila with mixers. They played some games, ate some food, started to watch a movie. Lauren was texting with someone and then told him that her brother was going to be dropping something off to her. She went outside for a few minutes. He never saw her brother. When she came back in, she went straight to the bathroom and she stayed there for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. He thought it was odd, but didn't feel that it was his place to say anything, and he didn't know her that well. Now, again, this is this guy's version. Was there a statement from the brother corroborating this? Because he could just be covering his arse with this. Okay? They continued to watch the movie and finished a bottle of tequila. Lauren fell asleep on the couch. So he carried her to the bedroom and laid her in the bed. He then laid down next to her and fell asleep. He woke up approximately 300 hours to use the bathroom, and Lauren was snoring. He woke up again at 6:30 and she was laying on her right side, blood coming out of her right nostril onto the bed. She was not breathing, and that's when he called 911. The AMR medic, number 3038, truck 715, pronounced her dead at 6:49 hours. He told me that she has been dead for at least an hour or more. Blank gave a written field statement as to his account of the events of the evening. I notified Sergeant DeBarros and request that Detective Bureau Supervisor be notified via dispatch. Sergeant DeBarros arrived shortly thereafter. I contacted stated medical examiner Jacqueline Messerol at 7:04. And the case number there. I found a U.S. passport identifying Lauren as Miss Lauren Smith Fields. I found mail with the same name, a MasterCard with the name, and $1,345 in cash. There was a cell phone on the couch that identified her as Mrs. Smith. There was a cell phone on the couch that person again identified as Miss Smith's phone, Smithfield's phone. There was also some mail to a Ms. Stephanie Green and a Mr. Brian Green. Detective Sergeant Morales and Detective Cronin arrived on the scene at 8:12 hours. The medical examiner arrived on the scene shortly thereafter. I made contact with Mr. Hector Torres. He is the landlord and lives on the second floor. He said that Miss Smith Fields has lived there for almost a year. He knows that her mother stops by occasionally, but he does not know her and he has no contact information for her. He was issued a complaint service form and asked to give it to Miss Smith Fields' mother the next time he sees her. Detective Cronin gave Mr. Torres his contact information before he and Detective Sergeant Morales left the scene. The medical examiner informed me that a trade service would be coming to retrieve the body before she left the scene. Dr. Roll Randolph of Nutmeg Trade Service arrived on scene at 9:33. He completed the State of Connecticut Officer of the Chief Medical Examiner removal authorization form and left the white copy with me. After the body was removed, I located a key that fit the front door lock. I made sure all windows and doors were secure and all lights were off. Locked both locks on the front door when I left. Miss Smithfield's money, key, passport, MasterCard, and cell phone were all turned over in the property room for safekeeping and further investigation. The written field statement and the removal authorization form were turned in to the record room, and copies of these forms were attached to this report. Okay, let's see. These online dates don't seem safe. Remind me of Angela Tremonte, who died during the hiking trip. Well, you're hearing the ones that ended badly. There's lots and lots of hundreds of thousands of people that have met, married, and, they are good for what they're good for, but just like everything, there's going to be things that don't turn out the way they should. It's not so much that they're safe. Like, is meeting a guy in a bar safe? Is meeting a guy, there's going to be things that happen all the time. You know what I mean? That the way I think meeting online is just the way it is now. Brother said, hold on a minute. Brother said he went to pick something up. Where did you see that? They treated her like a junkie. Hold on a minute. Let me see something. Okay, so the cause of death was acute intoxication due to the combined effects of fentanyl, promethazine, hydroxyzine, and alcohol. Fentanyl, we know what that is. Promethazine. Promethazine is used to prevent and treat nausea and vomiting related to certain conditions. And let's see, what else did he say? Hydroxyzine. Hydroxyzine is used in adults and children to relieve itching caused by allergic skin reactions. That's also sometimes used for anxiety, it says here. Okay. And then alcohol, of course. The family said once they reached out to the detective, he confirmed that Lauren had passed away. She had met a man. When I asked the officer about the guy, he said he was a very nice guy, and they weren't looking into him anymore, said Lauren's brother, Lakeem Jeter. It was almost as if he was sticking up for him, and it seemed weird to hear that from a detective. After the family continued to ask questions about the investigation, that's when they began running into issues. He told me directly on the phone to stop calling him and hung up in my face. It was like total disrespect. Like, that's what you tell a family that's going through grief and trying to find answers, asked Jeter. The way they talked to me, the way they have talked to my family, how they treated my daughter, they treated her like she was nobody, like she was not important, said Chantel Smith. The family said each time they reached out to the police department, they felt anger and frustration. Those emotions and search for answers led them to hiring an attorney, Darnell Crossland, in an effort to get justice for Lauren. Okay, so the brother... Hold on a minute. The brother is Lakeem Jeter. Lakeem Jeter. Okay, so there was no fear in Chantel Field's voice. The worst had already happened when she found out that her youngest child, Lauren, had been pronounced dead. Days after it took place. But as she and her son, Lakeem Jeter, began to go through the details of it, her tone tightened and the force of strength pushed through her grief as she declared, "The family, we are her voice. The more we fight, the more I get nervous and scared for my family," Chantel said. As we originally reported, the family of Lauren Smith Fields is suing the city of Bridgeport, Connecticut in connection with the police department on the grounds of mishandling the case, which is, according to the attorney representing the family, Darnell Crossland, a violation of the 1983 Civil Rights Act. In a now viral tweet from Cardi B, the rapper said, "Connecticut, you have failed this young lady." Lauren was the life of the party, according to Chantel and Lakeem. She loved music and coincidentally, was a huge fan of Bia's breakout hit, Whole Lot of Money. And Bia also tweeted, who's a rapper, mainstream attention to the case. Crossland, the attorney, also spoke, confirmed on Wednesday that to date, multiple pieces of key evidence, including lubrication, a used condom with semen, a pill, and a sheet with bloodstains, have not been received by the lab. The evidence was found by Chantal, Lakeem, and other family members on December 29th, a full 17 days after Lauren's death. The day that the family was there, they wanted a swab of everyone, and we were like, wait, shouldn't you be worried about the two people that were there that night? And Detective Garcia told us that if we didn't give him a swab then, we won't continue the investigation. Chantal said, Lakeem added, the crime scene investigator and detective told the family that they wanted our DNA to rule us out. The family didn't provide their DNA or consent to a swab. On January 23rd, when Lauren would have turned 24, her family organized a march in Bridgeport that attracted local and national attention the following day after being told the cause of death could take 30 days. The Connecticut Office of the Chief Medical Examiner ruled her death accidental. Okay, what about the acute intoxication, which we went over? Smithfield's family maintains that Lauren had no history of drug use. Further, when the case made it to Court TV, forensic experts Joseph Scott Morgan, who was also an expert correspondent during the George Floyd trial, was brought in to speak about the combination of drugs in her system. We're talking about a 23-year-old young lady here, he said. This is not somebody who would have had time to develop these dependencies that are multi-layered drugs, and we see that later on in life. I think there are some hard scientific questions that need to be asked in addition to the investigative questions of the drug allegations. Crossland said, I think that they were going to shut up or lose faith in Lauren, and I think on the drug allegations, Crossland, that's the attorney, said, I think they thought we were going to shut up and lose faith in Lauren and think she was just a drug addict. But people didn't run away. They doubled down. The day she died, the police confiscated Lauren's cell phone, a passport, keys, a credit card, and a little over $1,300 in cash. Lauren had been pronounced dead at around 6:49 a.m. The night before her death, she met with 37-year-old Matthew LaFountain, a white man who she became acquainted with through a mobile dating app, Bumble. He is believed to have been the last person to have seen her alive. Medics said Lauren had been dead for at least an hour prior to Matthew LaFountain calling 911. Now, his name was redacted from the initial report, which we read. He has a lawyer now, Peter Karayanis is representing him and says his client will not be making any formal statements. And he has not ruled out taking any legal action of his own, who added it's still too early to tell in regards to that. Earlier in the week, the family's attorney alleged a possible connection between Cronin and LaFountain during an interview with Atlanta Black Star. According to the attorney, they've been tight-lipped about his involvement, but we've been finding out on social media that this Matthew and the individual who was with Lauren has a huge connection with the police department, and his family does as well, further alleging that Cronin has intentionally or negligently created a cover-up for the responsible party in Lauren's death. Lauren's family was told by the landlord that someone knocked on the door that night around the time she was to have actually died. The landlord said he got a knock on the door at 5:30, and he didn't answer it because it was too late. The 911 call was at 6:30, so who came and knocked at the door at 5:30? The brother Lakeem asked. To the family's knowledge, this has yet to be investigated. It's been widely reported that the family was told that Lauren's death from the landlord, who placed a note on the door. It was horrifying, her brother Lakeem said. When you got there, you could see the terror in the landlord and kid's eyes. They didn't want to tell us she was dead. Chantal said it looks as if the Bridgeport doesn't have a protocol in place when it comes to communicating with black families. They're saying that they don't need us. When a person passes away, they have 24 hours to reach out by phone or knock on the door. Detective Kevin Cronin was removed from the case after alleged misconduct pending an ongoing investigation with Internal Affairs. As of today, the Fields family has not seen Cronin in person, but their interaction with him has been exclusively over the phone. and that's been enough to get him removed from the case and placed on administrative leave. Crossland alleged on Wednesday the possibility of an inappropriate relationship within the precinct. The acting police chief was a longtime live-in girlfriend of the head of internal affairs. We have a lot to outline this incestuous, corrupt, and disorganized space here. Chantal and Lakeem remember walking into the police precinct and being treated as suspects, they said, where they thought they would have been meeting in a regular room used for non-criminals or persons of interest. They were instead put in a tiny interrogation room. When the family walked into the precinct, Chantal said the entire room stopped. Everyone looked up and they gave us dirty looks, the brother added. It was scary. They were yelling at our lawyer, telling him to shut up, and grabbing at their guns. The family was told they were there to have a meeting with the police officers involved with the case. They didn't want to answer questions about the case, Chantal said. It was recently announced that the case would become a homicide investigation led by the Bridgeport police. The family has lost confidence in the Bridgeport police as they've expressed consistently. It's smoke and mirrors, Lakeem said. They just want to go away. They just want it to go away, Chantal added. The attorney plans to get the Department of Justice involved. We're sending a letter to the Department of Justice in D.C. and ask for that a case manager be assigned to this case. Let's see. And come with a team. We need help from an outside agency to oversee this because we don't have confidence that they'll do it on their own. Huh. And then what was this about? So, what is this? This is... I don't know, there's a lot of speculation here on some other sites here about things, huh? Now, let's see, the brother had another interview with her family. Said the march was not only to honor her but also to seek justice. Let's see. I just could not believe that my baby sister was gone, Jeter said. The loss is so devastating. I've never lost a sibling before, and my mother has never lost a child before. The way they handled the investigation was literally disgraceful, disgusting, horrible. It was not even human, Lakeem Jeter, Smithfield's brother, said in an interview with Good Morning America. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, okay, so we'll have to keep looking into that case. Fans guy, was it? All right, we'll see what happens there. Hi, Mark. Okay, Sherry Shirley, 80s girl. Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably, maybe. If they don't find residue with the fentanyl, it's a hard case to prove. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I have to record some craft videos that I'm gonna do as a premiere, but I'm gonna get those going. Yeah, it is a shame they left all that stuff there. Absolutely. All right, guys. I don't know why no one's here. It's so crazy. This is weird because it's not even like it's a multiple video or something. I'm getting a real complex. But anyway, all right. I'm glad that those of you that made it. Appreciate that. Thank you for your support. And I don't know what else is going on. But I will talk to you guys later, okay? Thanks so much. Bye now. Let's see here. I've got to end this.